Call Her Mommy, the MILF Manifesto, where motherhood is messy, MILFs are unhinged, and naps are a fantasy. Welcome to motherhood. Hello, you beautiful MILFs. Welcome to Call Her Mommy, the MILF Manifesto, and I am so excited for another episode today. I will tell you, my almost 5-month-old is behind the scenes right now because he woke up from a nap. Mommy had to get it done, so this is real life. So you might hear him crying, cooing, laughing, all the things. But here we are. That's mom life. So today's episode is about gender disappointment and the guilt that follows. And the MILF acronym today, MILF acronym today is motherhood layered in feelings. Today, we're going to have a very honest conversation, a very real conversation about the taboo experience of gender disappointment, the guilt, the shame, all the feelings that follow it, and how people are like, just be happy that you're having a healthy child, or just be happy that you're having a child. But deep down, you still feel that guilt and that shame and that unhappiness of not having the gender that you wanted or thought you were having. So cue the guilt, cue the shame, and cue the internal spiral that many of us have had with gender disappointment. This episode gives the moms that have dealt with this a safe space to unpack it all. I will say, I know I experienced I experienced gender disappointment with my second born, who is currently behind the scenes rocking and making sure I know he's here. Yes. So I have a 2-year-old son. So I was like, okay, a boy. And so many people were like giving that unsolicited advice that many of us get that none of us want. With now that you have a boy, are you hoping for a girl? Do you want another boy? Do you want a girl? Like all those questions that people don't mean inappropriately or negatively, but like somehow can hit the wrong way, especially when we're pregnant and dealing with all the hormones. Quiet down back there. So I experienced gender disappointment because OMG. He's going to get me off track. I know it. Because I had already had a boy and my pregnancies were very different. So with my first, it was like typical male. I wanted salty. I wanted meat. I wanted like chips. And I didn't really want a lot of sweet stuff. I could not stand like sweets and candy, especially in the beginning. And I had a lot of like the old wives' tales with boys, like the migraines, the rapid heartbeat, like just different things with stereotypical boy. Didn't have morning sickness. I was nauseous. I know. Had nausea, but wasn't physically sick. So this pregnancy was different in the fact that I didn't have the migraines, but I didn't know if it was because I was doing different approaches, knowing I was pregnant with medications and chiropractic care and acupuncture and all of that. So I don't know, but I wanted sweet. He sounds like a pterodactyl. I wanted sweet. I wanted cookies. And I'm not like a sugar person. Let me tell you, I wanted the like Chips Ahoy Candy Blast cookies. That was my craving. I really didn't have a lot of food aversions, whereas my first I did. But definitely still wanted salty, but like really wanted sweets. Oh my God. Thank God the mic's not on him. So I was, so like I swore I was having a girl. I was like, oh my God, not the glowy skin, like the acne, the way I was carrying, or so I thought. But the sweets like really sold me. And then the heartbeat was like a little lower. So I was like, oh my God, I'm totally having a girl. Like, this is great. So you don't find out your gender until like you can do it as early as like 9 weeks now, but like really 12 weeks with the doctors when they do the testing for the blood. So I did that test. Now I was like, it's going to be a girl, like whatever, all the things. And I could not wait to like open it and see girl. Like that's how excited I was. I was like kind of like thinking of all the girl stuff I could do, having one of each. And then I was like, I'll have one of each and then I'm done. I'm going to get my tubes tied. We're good. I have a boy, I have a girl, one of each, 2 kids. Great. Let's move on. We've built our family. And then I get the email that says your test results are in. And I knew the baby was healthy based on other testing and stuff like that. So I was okay in that regard, knowing he was healthy, he was measuring well, he was presenting well. But it was more like, what is his gender? So I get the email and now it is sitting in my inbox and my husband isn't home from work. And it was the first day of school. I had just gotten back from the first day of school with kids. So I am like so excited. It was a Thursday afternoon. It was beautiful outside and my parents had my firstborn because they had been watching him for the day. So they were going to be bringing him home in a couple of hours. And I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Da, da, da. So I tell my husband, I'm waiting for you. We have the results. I'm not doing it alone. Like, this is us. Like, we're doing it together. So he's like, okay. So now I am so excited. So I'm waiting. I'm on the couch. He comes home. We talk a little bit. And now I can't wait any longer. So I was like, why don't you videotape it? Because, like, we videotaped Cash's. And he's videotaping. And I open it. And the disappointment that I felt when I saw another boy broke me. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. And I bawled my fucking eyes out. Like, bawled. My husband had to stop the video. I was crying hysterically. And I was just like, this isn't happening. How is this real? And I swore that the test was wrong. I was like, no way. I'm having a girl. Sorry. My husband came home. So yeah, like I said, I bawled my eyes out. I cried so hard and I just didn't believe it. I started Googling how accurate are these tests? Is there any chance that they're wrong? And then I felt horrible for Googling that and wanting a different gender. Like, I kept going back and forth. I was like, I love my son so much. I love being a boy mom. But there's that piece that's like, I want to have a little girl because I wanted the relationship that I have with my mom, meaning like the girl and her mom, like a little mini me as my best friend. Not saying that my boys aren't going to be my best friends. Like, I can be super close with them. It was just that I had created this vision leading up to, like, from when I found out I was pregnant to finding out the gender, that I had kind of created this, like, and envisioned this false narrative that I really didn't have because I thought I was having a girl. I had like anticipated it. I looked forward to doing certain things. I was like, I had already done like the boy baby. Now I can do the girl. So when I found out that it was another boy, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't mentally prepared. I didn't think that it was a boy. Like, nothing added up. So I felt really guilty for Googling all of this stuff. And then I felt guilty that it was like my baby like felt that or heard that. And I didn't want him to like feel slighted or feel like I didn't want him because he was a boy or anything. And like, just looking at him right now, right here, he's smiling, he's cooing, and I love him so much. And I'm just grateful. And I had to constantly remind myself in that like week or two of like finding out, I would kind of go through these highs and lows. And I'm sure so many people experience that, of like being like, okay, my baby's healthy and I'm happy and I'm creating life and this baby chose me and my husband and my family. But then it was like, but I wanted a girl, and I didn't hold it in. So many of us hold that in, and I voiced it to my husband and my parents especially. But I had a really hard time telling people at first. I didn't want to announce it right away. We didn't do our gender reveal right away like I kind of had wanted, because honestly, I didn't know how to break it to people. And I guess I was more like concerned of how people were going to respond. Like, oh, are you happy? Are you okay? Like, I felt like it was just a lot. And I just didn't know how people were going to respond. And I didn't want them to read through me and be fake when I said, oh, yeah, I'm super happy. I was happy, right? Like, I was happy I was having another baby. I was happy that he was healthy. And I was happy it was another boy because we have all this stuff that we didn't need to like now go out and buy all this stuff where we had just bought our house, and just everything. We could like reuse a lot of the same stuff. And then I was like, they're going to be hopefully best friends one day. And hopefully my son will love him the way we love him and all of that. So it was just like a lot. This hair tie is irritating me. So it was just like a lot of like emotions and feelings. But then once I announced it, some people were like the people who can't filter themselves, kind of, and they didn't mean it in a mean way. They were just concerned for me. Like, are you okay? We kind of knew you wanted a girl. And at first it was like, I said I was disappointed. And I was very honest for the most part, especially as like I kind of like accepted the fact and got used to it, and then really was like, I'm okay with this. Was like, at first I was, not that I was lying to people because I was disappointed, but I would say like, I'm happy that I'm having another healthy baby. Yeah, I'm a little upset that it wasn't a girl. And then comes the follow-up question. Well, are you going to try for a third? I don't know. I'm still cooking this baby. Like, what the hell? And I know so many people ask that, and like I used to ask that probably, like not even knowing. And it's not that it was like intrusive or offensive or anything, but it was like I just want to get through this pregnancy and enjoy this pregnancy and my other son and my babies, and then we can figure that out as the time comes. But open it was eye-opening for me because then came the conversation of, am I getting my tubes tied? Because originally it was, if I have a boy and a girl, two, I have one of each gender, and I would have been happy. And now I have two boys, and there's a part of me that still wants to try for a girl, but you have no control really over it. I mean, as time goes on, maybe, but like, I want what the universe and God and whoever we believe in, I want them to be it meant to be. I feel like both my boys chose us. They were exactly who we needed at the time. They are my babies. They're my world. But I don't know. So I brought it up to my OB, and she was like, listen, if you're not over 110%, like if you're not like 200% sure that you're never going to want another, like to have another child, naturally, then don't tie your tubes, because the only way I could get pregnant is through IVF, which we all know is so expensive. And I didn't want to do that. And then she said, your husband can get snipped. And he was like, why? She's open on the table. So it was a back and forth for months about whether I wanted to, if I was going to, if I wanted to. And at the end of the day, I decided I did not want to. If the time comes, it will, whatever's gonna meant to be will be. But the gender disappointment was strong. It was real. And I know so much guilt and panic and internal spiraling that happens because I've been through it. And when you find out that you are having the gender you didn't think you were having, or that you didn't, not that you didn't want, but like maybe you didn't want that gender, I don't know. Or maybe you have that gender like multiple times and you're like, oh my God, not another boy or not another girl. It's just wild, and it's hard. And I just feel like so many people feel so alone when they see that, whether they see the scan, or they see the on like their email or in their portal or their patient portal what the gender is, or the doctors tell you and you're just not ready. And externally you're like, I have to be happy because I don't want them to think I'm upset. But internally you're like freaking out, you're spiraling, you're crying on the inside. You may even cry on the outside, and they might think it's happy tears, and you have to pretend that they're happy tears when in reality you're like, what the fuck, this isn't what I wanted. And it's hard because you feel like you're alone, but you're not. So many moms go through it, and I think we need to normalize the fact that it's normal to feel that way, that you're having a gender you want, that you don't want, that you aren't prepared for, and to open those lines of communication and know that you're not alone. Because even though I have friends that are moms, or even my own mother, just like having that conversation with them, you still feel shame, and you shouldn't. They're your friends, they're your family, and you should be able to trust them with something so huge, and feeling that like you're suffering alone or dealing with it alone. And maybe you're even too afraid to tell your partner. It's hard. It's really, really hard because we're already going through the hormones, the hormonal changes, and all the things. And then we go down the Google rabbit hole of like asking all these questions, or, like whatever we're Googling. So it's hard. And another piece that factors into it, sorry, I'm getting like messages, is like maybe it's a cultural thing or family pressure, as to like you want to have a boy to carry on the family name, or you are like supposed to have a boy to carry that family name. Maybe you're part of a culture where females aren't seen as like a top priority, like men are higher class than females, which sucks. And the mothers feel like shameful that they couldn't give the family the boy, or couldn't give the family whatever that the family wanted, which is hard on a whole nother level. So there's so many different aspects to gender disappointment. It's like internalized, what you want, what you thought you wanted, what you thought you were having. It's societal, it's religious, it's family pressure of like, hey, we got to have this type of gender because of this, of X, Y, and Z. And then like just society and social media. Hey. Social media, and all of that, but just being mindful that you're okay, to do it. But then you go through, like I said before, the shame spiral of, like you feel guilty for maybe not wanting that gender. Hey, shush. Maybe you feel, hold on. I got to deal with this kid now. Okay. Hopefully crisis averted. Okay. So let's really quickly talk about the shame spiral. And it doesn't mean that you don't love your baby. So we have to normalize that. When you do and you have or go through gender disappointment, it does not mean that you don't love the baby you're having. It just is an emotional grief. So gender disappointment is a type of emotional grief that you're going through, you're experiencing. It could be very short-lived, it could be longer-lived, but people need to know that it's not you don't love your baby. It's just a grief you're going through. Like I want to say, like when somebody dies, like you grieve that loss, and in a way you grieve the loss of the gender you didn't get or aren't having. So that's what I mean about the emotional grief, but adding in the hormones, the lack of control, the unmet expectations, means of mental chaos that you're dealing with and you're going through, and about how like when you don't talk about it, it makes it so much worse. So I know when I was bottling it all up at first, I had mentioned it to my mom and my husband, but I didn't go deep into it. I'm almost done. I didn't get too much into it because I just felt shameful. And it was like, well, I should be happy. I'm having a baby. I should be happy that my baby's healthy. So I was going through it alone, but I realized very quickly that when I wasn't talking about it, on a deeper level, I was just kind of surface level talking about it. It got worse. And once I started talking about it, it was 100 times better. But a big question that people ask themselves is, why am I mourning something that never existed? Okay, so I have no idea where I freaking left off. So we're just going to get into it because, not going to lie, my husband took our baby. I started recording, hit a button, finished the podcast, went to go check it, and realized it never recorded me. That's fucking mom life. So, no idea where I left off. So I'm just going to check my notes. So I'm going to just kick it off with the shame spiraling. And if we talked about it, we talked about it. So what we have to understand is gender disappointment is emotional grief. We are grieving the loss of something that didn't exist, but we're still grieving the loss of something that we've created in our minds. Think like when you grieve something or someone that has passed, you miss who they were, you miss the memories, all of this. But what you have to remember is when females get pregnant or women get pregnant and they have this idea of a gender that they think they're having, they have built that up, whether it's the entire pregnancy because they don't find out, or it's that they wait those 12 to 20 weeks, depending on what they find out the gender, whether it's through the anatomy scan, through the blood work, whatever it is, whenever you find out, you still have a couple of months where from when you find out you're pregnant to when you find out the gender, that you envision this life of your family growing and developing because you have this child of whatever gender you have envisioned in your life. And when that gender disappointment kicks in and you realize, holy shit, I just built this dream, I built this vision, and now it is completely been shattered and destroyed because that can't happen in the way that I envisioned it. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people struggle with, because for a very short time, you've envisioned this gender of a child, that you've created this like life. You've pictured doing things or going places or dressing or whatever you envisioned. And then it completely changing and you not having that vision really sucks. And it's okay to grieve that, because we're grieving the loss of the life that we had envisioned. Not that we're grieving the loss of the baby. It doesn't mean we don't love our baby. It just means that we're grieving this loss that we dreamt and created in our minds. For me, I think the biggest point for gender disappointment for me was the fact that I wanted a girl because my mom is my best friend, like ultimate best friend in the world. We talk multiple times a day, and I wanted the relationship that I have with her, with me, with a little girl. Plus I wanted like a little girl that I could like twin with and like do things with, like just stupid shit. And like I can still twin with my boys like I do all the time. But just having that mental piece where it was like I had envisioned like me and my mom and me and my daughter, and not having that. And that's what I was grieving. That was the gender disappointment I was feeling. So like I think I said earlier, journaling really helped. Going to therapy, talking through it, making sure I talked to people was very helpful. And really talking on a deeper level, not talking superficial, not just like, yeah, I'm disappointed, but like really diving into like why you're disappointed. What was it that you wanted from that gender? Like, why did you want to have a daughter, or why did you want to have a son? And really work through that and unpack it. And that will help process that trauma, that grief that you are kind of dealing with. And then like the pressure to just love this baby. And I can't remember where I heard it, but gratitude and grief can exist together, like peacefully. And I thought that was great because yes, I was grateful that I was pregnant and having a healthy baby, but I was also grieving the loss of the daughter that I didn't get to have. In turn got my son, who I love dearly, and he's like the best baby ever. So I want you to remember, you're not a bad mom for having a vision. You're not a bad mom for wanting a specific gender and not getting it. like I said, journaling, therapy, and communicating was super helpful and in processing it. And don't worry about the stereotypes that you hear, like boys are easier or girls are easier or boys are easier at this stage or girl, like whatever. It's different for everybody. I will say boys are harder to keep alive, especially at the younger age, because my toddler climbs everything. He pushes buttons. He just likes to just run around, like he just does daredevil shit. And he's not even like a daredevil like I see other people's kids. But he pushes buttons. Like he's so smart. He knows when he shouldn't be doing something, and he'll be like, "Oh, I shouldn't touch the stove. Let me touch it." And it's like, bro, like you're gonna get burned. And at this point, like fucking get burned and learn, because maybe that'll help you. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but like, come on, common sense, bro. So wrapping up, you are allowed to be sad about the dream that you envisioned, the dream you had and never got because you had a different gender than you had wanted. But you have to remember, you're still showing up every day. You are still loving the baby that you have had, like all the babies you have, whatever your situation is, you're still showing up in the messy, beautiful life that we live. And that's MILF energy. That's the MILF mode we want activated at all times. So if you felt seen, you felt heard, or you know somebody that could relate or needs to hear this episode, please share, like, subscribe, do all the things, and let me know in the comments if you have experienced gender disappointment, because I would love to hear how you coped with it. So stay tuned for next week's episode. It's a good one. But until then, have a great week, guys. I'll see you soon.